This is the SaunaBox Forge, SaunaBox's first premium Finnish-style sauna. At first glance, it looks incredible, but is it just good marketing or does it live up to the hype? In this video, I'm gonna find out. Right off the bat, wow, the SaunaBox Forge looks absolutely incredible. This is one of those products that just makes a great first impression the moment you see it. It measures in at 6 feet 9 inches tall, 43 inches wide, and 51 inches deep. The Forge has a large, sturdy presence, and it's substantial. It's not flimsy at all. And this is something that I really appreciate about the Forge. And one of my favorite design choices about the Forge is the aluminum exterior. It gives this Forge a sleek, modern look while protecting the cedar frame underneath. And I really like the all-black finish. It's simple, clean, and honestly, it looks premium. The glass door is another standout feature. It's thick, heavy duty, and it gives the sauna a high quality feel every time you open it. So even though the Forge is inside of my garage, it's designed to live outdoors. Now it has a shingled roof and a weather resistant construction that makes it feel like a permanent structure rather than just something that you threw out in your backyard. And stepping inside, you're greeted with a beautiful Canadian hemlock throughout the interior. It looks fantastic and it has that fresh wood aroma that really adds to the whole sauna experience. Heating the Forge is a Harvia Vega electric heater, which gets the sauna surprisingly hot pretty fast. We'll dive into that performance a little bit later though. What really impressed me throughout the Forge was the little details that makes the Forge seem like a premium product rather than just another wooden box with a heater. It has the LED lighting that's fully customizable with the included remote. You can change the colors to whatever you like and create whatever atmosphere you're looking for. It has the built-in ventilation system which pulls fresh air in through the floor and exhausts it out through the ceiling. This also helps the heat to build up faster, and you're breathing in fresh air while you're in the sauna. It doesn't feel stale at all. It has the elevated bench with the combined S-shaped backrest, and it makes it surprisingly comfortable to set in the sauna for a long period of time. Another thoughtful feature that I like about the Forge is the footrest can slide underneath the bench. That way, if I'm tired of sitting and I want to stand in the sauna, I can slide it under the bench and I can stand in there, no problem. And being that it's nearly 7 foot tall, most people are going to be able to stand inside of this sauna without any issue. And finally, SaunaBox included several accessories that I think make this feel like a complete experience. It has a traditional sand timer, a metal thermometer, a cup holder, a towel holder, some storage hooks. Now, none of these are major features on their own, but together I think it makes the Forge feel complete. It shows that there was a lot of real thought that went into the overall design. When it came to shipping, the Forge arrived in one giant crate. Thankfully, everything was extremely well packaged and the parts arrived without any damage. Now, the assembly was a little bit challenging, but it wasn't overwhelming. SaunaBox recommends that you have 2 people to build this, and while it's definitely possible with 2, I'd highly recommend having a third person if you can. Some of the panels are large and fairly heavy, so if you have an extra set of hands, it makes the process a whole lot easier. Now, overall, the assembly was pretty straightforward. The instructions were easy to follow, and I never really found myself wondering what came next when it came to the main structure. However, with the accessories, they were not mentioned in the instructions, so that was kind of left up to interpretation. And maybe that's how it's supposed to be, so you can decide what is best for you. And by accessories, I'm referring to the timer, the thermometer, the cup holder, the towel holder, and the hooks. From unboxing to having the sauna assembled and ready for the electrician, the entire process took me about 3.5 hours. Now, one thing you're gonna have to factor into your budget when you get the Forge is that an electrician is required to install it. Now, the Forge requires a dedicated 240 volt hardwired circuit. So unless you're already equipped for that, you'll likely need to hire an electrician. In my case, I had to have an electrician come out here to my garage, install the new 240 volt circuit, and that cost me $722. Now, obviously, your costs will vary depending on your home's electrical setup and how far the wiring has to be run, but that's definitely something you want to keep in mind before getting the Forge. All right, so now we're going to do a warm-up test. SaunaBox states that the Forge can get up to 170 degrees within 25 minutes and up to 220 degrees within 40 minutes. So right now the ambient temperature in my garage is 74.2 degrees. We're gonna let the Forge warm up for 25 minutes and see where it's at. All right, we are at the 25-minute mark and it looks like the Forge is at 170 degrees, just as SaunaBox has stated. So it has been 40 minutes and right now the thermometer is at 210 degrees. So it's pretty close to the 220. We'll let it run a little longer and we'll find out how long it takes to get up to the 220 degree mark. All right, now we're at the 45-minute mark and we have reached the 220 degrees. So SaunaBox said in around 40 minutes it would reach 220. So I think that's pretty close. I think it reached the benchmarks that SaunaBox said that it would reach. I had took the thermometer out of there. This thing is so hot I can barely hold it, but it was already up to 230 degrees within 50 minutes. Another test I wanted to do was see how well the forge holds in heat. So I got my thermal gun and we're gonna find out how much heat is leaking from the forge. So the hottest part of the forge is the door. Now in the middle of the door, it's about 117 degrees. Near the seals, it's about 158 degrees. When you look at the aluminum side though, it's only 87 degrees. So it's holding in the heat pretty well. We'll go around the side and take a look. On the side, we're only showing about 83 degrees. On the other side, I'm only showing 81 degrees. And on the roof, it's only 76 degrees. So it's holding in the heat extremely well. So now I'm gonna go inside with my thermal camera just to give you an idea of what the temperature looks like inside here, because inside of a sauna, the temperature can vary quite a bit depending on where you are in it. So let's take a look. So looking directly into the heater, it's about 813 degrees. It's extremely hot. Right on the back wall, I'm getting anywhere from 220 to 230 degrees. The side walls are right around 200. The bench is right around 150. And then down where your feet set, it's about 100 degrees. So obviously it's hotter at the top of the sauna than it is at the bottom. And then at the ceiling, I have the door open, but we're getting about 200 degrees. So it's pretty hot in here. All right, I just filled up my bucket with some water. I'm gonna go do a session. Now I put my Apple Watch on. I'm gonna track some of my stats while I'm in here just to kind of see how my body reacts to the sauna. So let's check it out. All right, so I brought my camera in here. I can't have it in here for very long because it overheats so fast. I just wanted to show you what it was like to pour water over the rocks. So I got my ladle full of water here. Woo! When you pour water over those rocks, I swear the temperature in here jumps up so much. It's incredible. I can't believe how much hotter pouring water on these rocks makes it in this sauna. It's insane. So 6 minutes in, you can see I am sweating up a storm. The unfortunate part is my Apple Watch stopped working because it got overheated. So in all of my years of using the infrared sauna, I've worn my Apple Watch in that sauna for over an hour and it has never shut off from being too hot. But in here, 6 minutes, the thing shut down. Whew. I feel just like my Apple Watch at this point. I'm gonna have to take a little bit of break and I'm gonna jump back in. So I'm gonna take a little breather and then I'm gonna hop back in. All right, so that is extremely hot and it made me think of something. So SaunaBox actually offers an ice pack boxer shorts that you can use when you go in the sauna. Now, why would you want to do this? Well, if you're a man and you're worried about your fertility, going in the sauna for a prolonged period of time can have an effect on your fertility. It can also have a bit of effect on your testosterone. So by icing your testicles, it helps to protect them while you're in the sauna. So you protect your boys, you get the benefits of going in the sauna. It's a win-win. So I'm gonna go ahead and ice my boys in this next session. So there's one big thing I've already noticed with the Forge as compared to some of the infrared saunas that I've used, and it is this exhaust system which sucks cool air from the floor and cycles it out through the top. Now, you don't really notice any effect on the heat. In fact, I think it actually makes it hotter because it's moving the air. But the thing that you do notice is when you're in the sauna and you're breathing, it feels like the air is so much fresher. In the infrared saunas, it tends to get a little stale and it feels like you're breathing the same air over and over. But in here, despite it being super hot, the air actually feels pretty fresh. So that's one big improvement with the Forge I've seen over some of the infrared saunas that I've used, and the steam sauna for that matter. So here's the fan. You have a little switch right here that you can turn on. The fan runs down here, kind of where your feet are. And then there's an exhaust vent at the top. All right, so I just finished my second session, and two things have become abundantly clear to me. Number one, I certainly am not finished because I've only been able to stay in there for 7 to 8 minutes. And this is despite the fact that I have been using an infrared sauna for the last 2 years and I can stay in it for an hour. But 7 to 8 minutes in here, I am so hot, so sweaty that I have to step out. My body has not acclimated to that heat. That heat is certainly much different than an infrared sauna. The second thing is I may never go in a sauna again without icing my testicles. Admittedly, I thought this might be a little bit of a gimmick, but it does make a noticeable difference. Normally when you're in there, your testicles are getting hot and stuffy. This is nice because it does keep them cool. It doesn't feel like they're overheating. Now, I thought it might affect the way that the rest of your body reacts just because you do have one area that's really cold, but I didn't find that to be the difference. The rest of my body was sweating. I felt just as hot. The only difference was my testicles weren't. So that was an improvement, and as a guy, you definitely want to protect your testosterone, and if you're looking to have kids, obviously your fertility. So actually the SaunaBox boxers that cool your testicles is kind of worth it. So that is one thing I just wanted to add. I'm going to cool off and then I'm going to go in for round 3. I'm going to try to get 20 minutes at least in today. So I'm going to cool off for a bit and then jump in for my final session. Here's what the floor of my garage looks like after just a 20-minute session. There is just sweat absolutely everywhere from where I got out, and sweat is just dripping off of my body. Inside where my feet are, you can see just a lot of sweat. Bench not all that sweaty because it's so hot that it evaporates pretty much immediately, but no doubt about it, you're gonna sweat in the Forge. One thing I do think is also worth mentioning on the Forge is after doing some tests on this and letting it run for a while, I'll cut the power to it. I'll come back out several hours later and I'll look at the temperature. It will still be up around 200 degrees, even when the heater has not been running for a couple of hours, just because those rocks heat up so much that it just keeps the ambient temperature inside of the Forge extremely hot. So even if you turn this heater off for a couple hours and you still got in, it would still be hotter than what the infrared sauna was after I let it warm up for an hour. So, I mean, this thing does hold heat in extremely well. I did have a little bit of an issue with the Forge, and admittedly, this is 100% my fault and totally avoidable, but I was so excited to use it the first time. When I got in and I went to pour the water over the rocks in the heater, I forgot to put the tray underneath the heater to protect the floor. The water fell on the floor and it caused the floor to buckle a little bit. Again, this is 100% my fault. It's totally avoidable. I'm sick about it. I wish that I would have done this, but you live, you learn. Hopefully you learn from me and you don't make the same mistake if you get this sauna, but make sure you put that tray underneath the heater when you pour water over the rocks. So there you have it, the SaunaBox Forge. This is personally my favorite sauna of all the saunas that I have used. I absolutely love this sauna. If you do want to get one for yourself, I do have a discount code below you can use to save you a little bit of money. It'd also help me out. If there are any questions that I didn't answer in this video that you still had, be sure to drop them below in the comments and I'll do my best to answer it for you. Hey, that's all I have for you in this one. I'll see you in the next.